So it's a chiddush to me that we're supposed to connect this specifically to Tish B'Av. Generally, in Teresh Breslov, I give a little bit of an introduction here before I do connect it in somewhat of a direct way to Tish B'Av. The teachings in Likutei Moharan are hakdamis, they're introductions, and there are many explanations about what that statement that Rabbi Nachman said means. One of the explanations is that you are to learn other areas of Torah. We have Likutei Halacha, the Shulchan Aruch. According to Likutei Moharan, we have a book called Nachas HaShulchan, the Cherner of. It's all the Shulchan Aruch according to just the first Likutei Moharan. I recently discovered that there's Pafaris L'Chachma al Shas. He makes a commentary on the Shas according to the concepts in Likutei Moharan. I actually asked my Rav, and I got a heter to write about worldly subjects through the lens of Likutei Moharan. I know about music theory. That could be a book I could write. Someone who knows about car repair could write a book about car repair, Likutei Moharan. So we don't need to ostensibly connect the Likutei Moharan to world events. If we just learn about Likutei Moharan, then we'll understand the time. We can understand the times that we're in. We can understand the times both in the world and also the maybe more real level of time, what's going on in the Hebrew calendar at any given time. But that being said, because we're supposed to make a specific mention, I will, that it's written in many places in Likutei Halacha, comes up, and it probably did source from Likutei Moharan, that the Iker Galus, the primary exile and all that comes with that, including the Beis Hamikdash and having trouble from other nations and all such matters, that it comes down to Taivos and Midas Reis. That's the main Galus. And there's two Perushim on that I can think of. One is that all of those events in the world, the biggest problem that they culminate in are Taivos and Midas Reis, which the Likutei Moharan is coming to teach us to overcome. Taivos, desires for bad things, and Midas Reis are bad personality traits, or could be bad emotions, or things like that. We all have lots of good. Rabbi Nachman isn't here to say that any of our good is less valid than it is, and in fact, it's far more valid than we know. And every little thing that we do is tremendously good, in fact, but also as a medicine. Right? Rabbi Nachman is referred to as the primary care physician for the Shekhinah. With that being said, we'll continue Likutei Moharan, and the other parish I didn't say is that you could say that all the events in the world culminate into the Taivos and Midas Reis, and you could also say that if the Taivos and Midas Reis went away, then from sort of an inside-out perspective, all the problems in the physical world around us would also go away. They'd unravel. You could say it like that. So, we can see when we improve one personality trait, even in a small way, the physical effects that it has around us. There's more on that in Torah. We should see the tikkun ha'olam, how the world is coming into a state of tikkun, and how our personality modifications affect that process in our lives that we can perceive. We should pay attention to that. He tells us specifically in Torah to pay attention to that. We're in Torah base right now. So Shlomo will be happy to know that I finished Sif Vav and Siman Beis Likutei Moharan, and now continue with Sif Zayin. Okay, so all the Torah that a person learns is in order that they guard it and they do it. So you know what I'm going to ask. What do we need these two words for? Guard it from what? You could ask that. What are we protecting the Torah from? Is the Torah not this sort of spiritual, is it not the blueprint of the world? What can you do to the blueprint of the world? Okay, that's one thing. It says in the prayers of the Arizal that we recite, there's a Seder of the week, every day of the week has a prayer in Shari Tzedek, where he says there, all my sins I do, how could they possibly harm you, Hashem? So that's why as we're going to read here, that the Torah and Hashem are one, the Yidden as well. So what are we protecting the Torah from exactly? And also we can ask, and la asois, so we should do the mitzvahs. Isn't that what guarding the Torah means, to do the mitzvahs? So what is this word lishmor doing there? Next, Rabbi Nachman says, Kol ha'ois heim mitzutei neshamas. All the letters of the Torah are sparks of souls. So that's a nice idea. We should be zeicher to figure out how that fits in. We'll try soon. I'll read one more line of Likutei Moharan. V'heim nislavshem v'toicha tefillah. And all of the letters / souls are included in our prayer. Now the letters, that's pretty straightforward seemingly, because all the letters that we read the prayers, they're all written in Hebrew. If we're writing a translation, it's still based on the Hebrew. Hopefully closely based on the Hebrew. It's a good translation, hopefully, we're reading from. And if you learn a lot of, the more Torah you learn, the more things you're going to see in the prayers. Oh, I know that what that's referring to now. And the midrash that okay. As far as the neshamas being encloaked in our prayers, we can understand that on a simple level from what we've learned so far in this Likutei Moharan, that on the one hand, when we reach a tremendously high level in prayer, where we're working the city of Mishpat, we're fixing people's emotions, that seems to be relevant to the neshama. And as we learn schus on people, as we get good at halacha so that we can make good arguments for people in Shemayim. This guy's a great guy, and let me tell you 14 reasons why, and both dayas on all 14 of those reasons. Then even our self-help work, so to speak, where we're using our tefillah to eliminate our own personal problems and get ourselves on a level to really affect everyone's emotion with their prayers, those also will result in the same benefits that we get in our prayers. Others will get in as much as we are able to intelligently learn schus from them, according to how much effort we put into learning of the halachas. This is all relevant. This is all things that we've discussed. So based on that, it's straightforward how the neshamas are enclosed, or nislavshim v'teicha tefillah, are included in our prayers. So what is the significance of this statement? Kol ha'ois hem nitzuta neshamas, that all the letters of the Torah, in particular, are parts of souls. And hopefully, from explaining that, we can come to answer what the word lishmor is doing in the first line. So, let's take a look at two relevant passages from Zohar HaKadosh. First one says, Shishim riboy heim nishmois Yisrael, v'chamoy kein ois Yisrael. Okay, so we've added a number now. Rabbi Nachman told us that all the letters in the Torah are bits of souls, and now the Zohar is telling us that there's 600,000 Jewish souls. Now we can say that that means there's clearly more than 600,000 Jews in the world, Baruch Hashem, and they all have souls, Baruch Hashem. So we can say that this means that the Shloah explains above that it means categorically there's 600,000, and then everybody's individual soul that currently exists is branched off of that. Right? So you have other people that you share a soul root with, and you'll be drawn to those people for that reason. And hopefully we should merit to be drawn to those people, because then we can elevate together more effectively. As the tzaddik emes can see what everybody's soul root is and knows how to make shidduchim, so to speak. Both in a literal sense of getting people married, and also you two should learn together. You should daven at this shul, you'll find the people there, and you are going to mesh well. And tzaddik emes knows all this. And all the tzaddikim know this. The second passage says, so the Torah and Hashem and the Jews are all one, so it's hard for a person to say that they love Hashem if they don't love the Jews and they don't love the Torah. And it's hard for them to say love the Torah if they don't love Hashem, they don't love the Jews. And it's hard for them to say love the Jews if they don't love Hashem, they don't love the Torah. The three are inextricably intertwined. So, not only is this true in a general sense, but we just learned that there are 600,000 letters in the Torah. There's a way to calculate it so that number makes sense. And this corresponds to all the Jews. So it's not just in a general level of I love the idea of the Torah. But as we talk about learning halacha in such a way that I want to be able to learn out schus on everybody in an intelligent way, not just, yeah, he's a good guy, I'm pretty sure, it seems to me. But actually, well, we mentioned before, he doesn't say his brachas loud. The Yitzhak might say, yeah, that's so this other guy who's eating doesn't answer omen and choke on his food. There's halacha that says it's bekuach nefesh to say your brachas and then quietly for that reason. So actually, he's like a tzaddik in that Indian. It's not, what, you think he's not passionate about Hashem if he doesn't say his brachas loud? If you know the halacha, you see, oh, there's a great way to learn schus on this guy. So as we're learning we will encounter many different ideas, and particularly halacha, because these are binding ideas that we're really supposed to be doing them. As Rabbi Nachman started off, not to take this out of the pashtus, that all the Torah we learn, we're supposed to do it, right? So learning, that makes a special challenge with learning Shulchan Aruch. Learning Midrashim, there's not so many specific instructions. It says the heart is pulled after Midrashim. It's a great way to, it's good, feel-good Torah. It gets you into it. It's pleasurable to learn. It isn't so uncomfortable. So concerning Shulchan Aruch, we will encounter things that we're saying, yeah, I want to do that. Yeah, I do that well already. Oh, that, I don't do that very well. And now we're at a fork in the road. Rosh Yeshiva had a nice word for it. He said, sometimes you'll learn things that are uncomfortable. So a person, when they encounter a halacha that they don't do very well, that's hard for them in particular, it could be what time they're supposed to be waking up in the morning. I won't say it here. You can look up what that is in the Shulchan Aruch if you so please. It's at the beginning. There are other halachas that are difficult for different people. We all have our challenge. We all have our strengths and all have our challenges. So we come to something like that. We can, well, first I'll say the bad thing, and then I'll say the cure. Right? That's the order. You don't give the cure and then the diagnosis. You might give the wrong cure. So let's say the diagnosis first. And we said that Rabbi Nachman is the doctor of the Shekhinah, and doctors have a certain process that they follow. So if it seems like it's a Musar book, well, there is that. We do have to say the diagnosis. So what a person can fall into is being disparaging toward that particular halacha. Saying it isn't that important that it's only a minhag that Ashkenazim can't eat kitnias on Pesach, so therefore I shouldn't be bound by it. And maybe I should go around telling other people not to be bound by it because it's only a minhag, because I particularly like beans. So it's very hard for me personally not to do that one. Or it could be something different, because the idea that it's only a minhag and that this is binding, well, actually the minhag is a very gewaldic thing. Hashem treasures it. There's I think it's a midrash in Shir Shirim that says that Hashem takes more pleasure in the halachas, midrabanan than midraisa, because midraisa, he just told us the rules, right? It's like if I tell my kids clean up, and then my daughter's like, I have to get a paper towel and I have to get a spray. I didn't say that. She just was mechadish that. But wow, my 3-year-old just knows she has to get a paper towel and a spray. It's amazing. That's nachas a lot more than if she just repeats back what I say, right? So then another level after that is minhagim. Minhagim are very precious. And so now there's sort of two levels of this feeling that someone can fall into. It's discussed more at length in Torah and Likutei Moharan and says there's darkness and there's double darkness. It's an allusion to in Mitzrayim. There was a period of single darkness where everybody couldn't see, or at least all the bad people couldn't see. The good people could still see perfectly well. And then there was a double darkness where it says the darkness actually had a mamashus. Like the sciences, there's no such thing as darkness, it's a lack of light. Well, no, during that period of time, there was, in fact, a substance called darkness. Because Hashem broke nature to do that. Right? We're not arguing with the science. We're saying it was something else in that time. And he made a darkness people couldn't move. So that's what happened in Mitzrayim. So the way that Rabbi Nachman uses it to relate to or the way that we relate with the world is that a person can know that something's difficult for them, and they can even know that because it's difficult for me, I have a tendency to be disparaging toward it. But then, and I think that's probably where a majority of us are holding with our feeling. Now, we probably do it anyway. I think most of us here are like kosher yidden in that sense, that we just do it anyway, even if we don't like it. But we do feel uncomfortable with it, and we'd like to not. There's another level of darkness, which is that a person starts to think that it's good to feel it's good to be disparaging toward these halachas because I personally have a difficulty with it. Okay, so if I do that with something else besides Torah, it doesn't make so much sense to say that it's a problem. If I say that exhibition wrestling, and I said, that would be very difficult for me to do. I am not a large man. I cannot lift a 300-pound man over my head and body slam him. And therefore, I'm going to say that it's not very valuable to society that those people be doing that. And then I may even take it a step further and say, and it's good to bash such things as exhibition wrestling. Okay, so is there anything directly harmful in me doing that? it's hard to argue that there is. Maybe I'm being sort of like negative, but sometimes there are things that warrant negativity. So it's hard to say. I'm not saying anything's wrong with wrestling. It's just an example. So if someone wants to defend wrestling, they're welcome to do so. But in Torah, there is an inherent problem with doing it. It isn't only a result of being a negative person or something. So, and it's encloaked in these words here that the Jews in the Torah are one. That every letter, every tiny detail in the Torah, every quote on every letter is the soul of a Jew. And so, if I bash that letter in the Torah, now I'm doing Lashon Hara on a Jew. I'm learning Choiv on that Jew. So in my efforts to be able to learn how to be Dal Nechaf on everybody so that my prayers can affect them too, and we all benefit from it, not just at the highest levels, but at whatever level of prayer that I'm working at, which is probably not the highest level, just speaking for myself. If I disparage something in the Torah, I'm disparaging a Jew, and so that counteracts, that's counterproductive to my goal. So, how should we regard this situation? So, there's a distinction people make. Rabbi Nachman is the doctor of the Shekhinah. They say sometimes some medications only treat the symptom, not the cause. So, let's get to the root a little bit more. And now we go into Teres Breslov here. In the Hakdama to Likutei Tefillos, written by Rav Nassan, prime student of Rabbi Nachman. Kol ikar kavanas Rabbeinu v'Kodesh v'Neres zechrenu l'bracha v'chol Torah shekila chayim. All the intention of our holy teacher in all of the Torahs that he revealed to us, hakoil rak b'shvil ma'aseh, is that we do it. Includes things that Likutei Moharan, not just in the Shulchan Aruch as well as Likutei Moharan. Likutei Moharan is in a very secret way based on the Shulchan Aruch. Shnistadol v'zamet v'chazek b'chol oiz lishmor v'la'aseis l'kayam v'chol hanetmar b'chol Torah. He uses a bunch of words here that we have to try, and we have to strengthen ourselves, and we have to use another word for strengthening ourselves with all of our strength in order to guard and to do. And he's very strong with the language here. It's a very strong thing, because there's a very real temptation to not do it on the basis that it's difficult. And also because it's difficult, he uses all these strength words here. And so that he really gets to the root of the problem here, that it is because we are distant from accomplishing these things, because they are tremendously lofty goals. Okay, so we already did say that outside, to be fair. So now we're going to say the cure. So what should we do? V'nis palel v'na atir l'shem v'ribu. L'shem is la Hashem, le Hashem. V'ribui hafratzis v'kashtis tachnunis yirach ableinu v'yizkenu v'yikaravenu v'racham v'rubim shenizu v'kayim v'skol ma shenatmar v'sham ba'ois. We should pray really hard to be able to accomplish what we're having resistance to. There's a twofold benefit to this. One is in the simple level of prayer that Hashem does answer prayers. We should pray for stuff. Sometimes it's fast, sometimes it's slow. He does that so that we have sil bechira, but otherwise it wouldn't be a merit if we just prayed and got stuff right away. Of course he prays. He prays, and sometimes it gets it fast to encourage him, sometimes it takes a while to show that he's really, I see, he's really working at it. This is a big merit on this guy that he's still praying. But that's one reason. But another reason, it comes back to, what does it mean, lishmor? That by praying for it in a strong way, we are protecting ourselves and others from disparaging that detail in the Torah that's difficult for us. And in doing so, we're protecting our abilities to pray for others without having to reach a tremendously lofty level. And also, we're protecting our ability that when we reach that lofty level in prayer, which, by the way, we have not necessarily said it requires Dal Nechaf Schus in an educated way to reach the city of Mishpat, so we've discussed. Only discipline and passion in prayer and with our emotions in general. But that's a separate Indian from Dal Nechaf Schus. However, when we get to the city of Mishpat, we have a job there. It isn't just that, oh great, I've made it to Shangri-La, now I'm very holy. No, we would put in the world for a reason. And Rabbi Nachman says in Torah 10, if they come from the mountain to the field to the home, you got to always be bringing it home. At the top, highest level, bring it home. Ratzeh v'shuv. And that when we go to the city of Mishpat, we have to go up there and become a shofet. And we have to take it back from the Yetzer Hara, take it back from the goons, and this will positively affect everybody's emotions in the world, which is an incredibly Gavaldic idea. And so we have to go up there with a good limud of Shulchan Aruch. And if we disparage things in the Shulchan Aruch, we're not going to come away with a good limud of the Shulchan Aruch. To understand something, we have to at least initially accept that I'm just going to accept on faith everything I'm reading. And once I understand it really well, then I can evaluate how I feel about things. But if we don't accept it completely on faith, we're not going to get to a point of understanding it really well in the first place. And with all the prayer that this process requires, we're also going to still have tremendous emunah be'ezras Hashem when we get there. Yeah.
Thank you very much, Carl. Thank you.